Welcome to Destiny Beyond Grind, the TLDR version. Today we're going to be going over the Wayfinder's Compass, mods, weapons, armor, and how to level up quickly. You start off low light, and as you progress you're going to get better gear that will have higher light. That number beside the defense is pretty much your power level. The way that it calculates light is that it adds up all of those weapons and armor pieces and then averages them out to get your average light, and then it adds in your seasonal artifact, which you get each season uh, based off of completing the first mission, and then you power it up by leveling up. And as you level up, as you gain additional experience points, you'll unlock both unlocks, which are these things here, and power level, which is that number right there. You can see that you've got the progression bar. It'll show you how many unlocks are available total and your unlock number, and then your power bonus, and then below it'll show next power bonus, and if you still have unlocks, it'll show additionally how long to get to your next unlock. Now, these unlocks will do different things based off of the season, and these will change with each season. The biggest ones are these mods right here: Anti-Barrier, Overload, and Unstoppable. These will allow you to disrupt champions. Champions are specialty enemies that you get in higher level combat. You have barrier champions who will throw up a shield and heal very rapidly. You have overload champions which will teleport around and will throw lots and lots of damage out at you, and they also heal very, very rapidly. And then you have Unstoppables who will just charge straight at you, dealing tons of damage. And the only way to stop them is to hit them with a barrier mod. So with an anti-barrier champion, you hit them with an anti-barrier weapon multiple times, and it will break their shield when they throw that immune shield up. Nothing else will deal damage to them. Anti-barrier will also cut through a lot of other shields, like the Vex shields for Hydras and the Vex immune shield that the hobgoblins throw up. It'll also cut through the Night shield for the Hive, and any other types of shields that you could go around or wait out. It will shoot through those. Some of them, like the Fallen Vandals dome shields, blight shields, and the plot armor immunities, it will not go through, but it will help you take on enemies who have other types of immunities. Overloads, these generally require you to either hit a target multiple times, such as with the sword, or, in the case of the bow, you have to pull it all the way back and wait for it to load an overload shot and then fire. And that will stagger the overload champion. It will also stop them from being able to teleport, and will stop them from healing. Now, once you have staggered an enemy, they will go into a stun phase, and you'll be able to deal damage. They won't move, they won't be able to use any of their abilities, but even when they come out, they'll have wings above them that will flash white, and that means that you cannot stun lock them again while they've got those white wings, but it will stop them from being able to use those abilities. So the overloads won't be able to teleport, and they won't be able to heal right after you've stunned them. Now, once those wings go back to the regular color, you can shoot them again and stun them again. And with the overload mods, you generally have to aim for a few seconds, and then your weapon will flash, and when you fire the next shot, it'll have an unstoppable shot buff, and that will cause your enemy to stagger. Unfortunately, with the Unstoppables, once they go into immune, they go right back to coming at you, but thankfully, Unstoppables do not heal, so they can be taken down without a mod. The overloads, you are definitely going to need a mod unless you are just way over its light, and same thing with the barriers, because the healing ability on those will put them right back up to full before you can deal enough damage to take them down. It will have other mods based off of things that you can do, and this can actually set the playstyle for an entire season. So this season has quite a few things for fusion rifles. You've got a linear fusion rifle targeting mod. You have a fusion scavenger mod, which gives you additional ammo when you scavenge and pick up ammo drops. And then you've got the unstoppable fusion rifles mod, It also has particle deconstruction, and this one is nice because it allows you to stack damage on them based off of how many times you've hit them. So every time you hit them beyond the first is going to deal more damage, and that stacks up to 5 times. So fusion have become very effective this season. I recommend that you take a look at your compass and you decide what you want your playstyle to be. You should pick at least one anti-barrier, one overload, and one unstoppable mod. So decide if you want to go with pulse rifles, sidearms, or fusion rifles for your unstoppables. Decide if you want to go with bow or sword, and look at the others. So sword also has scavenger, which gives you bonus ammo when you pick it up. It also has passive guard, which you take less damage when you have your sword out. So these will help you set your play style based off of what kinds of weapons you prefer and what kind of enemies what kind of content you want to be going and what kind of subclasses you want to play. You'll also notice that there is an energy cost associated with each of these. On your armor, when you right click, it will pull up a listing of it, and on this side right here, it will have mod slots. I'll show you those a little more, but each piece of armor will also have between 1 and 10 energy slots, and each mod that you socket in requires you to have that much free energy. Now, you've got 3 different types of weapon slots here. Kinetic weapons deal uh, just physical damage. It is full damage against health, but it is reduced damage against shields. You have energy weapons. Now, energy weapons will have one of 3 different energy types. The little flame is solar, there will be the electric arc for arc damage, and then there will be the little vortex for void. Enemy shields will have one of 4 different color properties. The red ones are solar, the yellow or the blue ones are arc, and the purple ones are void. You will also see out in the wild a dark blue and black shield. That is stasis. Stasis is a little different in that it gets equipped here in the kinetic energy slot rather than being equipped in the energy weapon slot. So you've got physical damage and darkness-based damage up here, and then you've got the light subclass energy here. Power weapons have a subclass as well. It can be either stasis or one of the light subclasses, but there's only one stasis exotic right now. It's Salvation's Grip. It's a heavy grenade launcher. It's frankly not fantastic, but it's not terrible either. Weapons, you'll notice, will have different traits, and with the legendaries, you will actually be able to pick all. You'll be able to pick all of the 4 traits that these weapons have, and that will let you customize based off of your play style. You've got a sight, and this will generally change your handling and stability and your range. You have the ammunition and barrel type. This will change damage and range, stability, reloads, as well as the magazine size. You can occasionally have a barrel type up here, but again, it will change the general functionality and features of the weapon. And then your perks will offer intrinsic things like hipfire grip. If I am aiming down sights, it's going to be the regular stats, but when I am not aiming down sights, we're going to get additional accuracy, stability, and precision hit targeting when just firing without aiming. Now you've got your 5 stats here. On most of your weapons, you're going to have an impact, which is the damage per round. Range. Now, each weapon will have a certain range at which it can engage targets. When you go outside of your range, that bullet starts to drop off damage, and so at a certain distance, you're dealing really minimal damage with certain weapons. Some weapons will have a much shorter range than others. Submachine guns, for example, have practically no range. They're made to be used in a close combat situation, whereas a sniper rifle is going to have extremely long range. Usually, when you've got a weapon with really good range, it fires very slowly, has a limited magazine, or some other way to balance that out. You're not going to ever find a weapon that is just maxed across the board, but some weapons are going to have much better stats than others. This is going to be based largely off of what your play style is. So if you are a spray and pray, you're going to want stability because that controls how tight those bullets pack when you fire them in rapid fire mode. Handling, it makes it faster to pull out and stow away a weapon. So if you like to switch weapons in mid-combat, maybe pull out a shotgun, take a shot, put it away, grab your submachine gun or grab your sniper rifle or whatever else you're using and fire that way. High handling on your weapons is going to be beneficial. This only affects this weapon. So if I have a really high handling weapon and a really slow handling weapon, I can put away that high handling weapon really quickly, but it's going to take me a minute to get my other weapon out and ready. And finally, reload speed is, as it sounds, how long it takes to reload that weapon. Weapons that have a small magazine benefit from a high reload speed. Weapons with a large magazine will tend to have a smaller one. It's a good idea to reload between combat when you can. If you're in the middle of combat, especially if you've got a really low reload speed, take some cover when you reload just so you're not sitting out there unable to fire back. And then you're going to have rounds per minute. Rounds per minute is if you had an infinite magazine and were pulling the trigger as fast as you can, how many times could you shoot in 60 seconds? And then, of course, your magazine is how many bullets do you have in that weapon. Now, sometimes you're going to have another button here that says lore, and if you press the button associated with it and hold it, it'll pull up a little tab that will give you some neat lore about the weapon or a little snippet about what's going on in the world that surrounds that weapon or something about it and something about the world. You also have, for each weapon, a type of frame. Now, you will have a set number of frames, and multiple weapons will fall into a different frame type, and that will give you an idea about how this particular weapon will handle. So this adaptive frame weapon is well-rounded, and it has a pretty average stats. The shotgun is an aggressive frame, which means it's going to do high damage, but it's also going to have high recoil. And you can see that in the stability here, where it has very low stability. If you get a weapon that you particularly like and you want to keep that roll that you got, which means that set of perks and traits, you can click the little lock button right here or hit the hotkey, and that will freeze that weapon so that you can't accidentally dismantle it. Now, if you go to the Appearance tab here, this will let you equip either an ornament, which will completely change the skin of the weapon, or you can change the color scheme by hovering over the weapon cosmetics, selecting the color scheme that you want. If you want a preview, you can right-click, and it will show you your different options. And when you find the one that you like, you just hold the apply button, and it changes the color of the weapon. Now, you can do this with any of your rares and any of your legendaries. You can also do this on your armor. Now, if you want to change all of your armor up front, if you go down, you'll have this Appearance Customization tab. When you click to configure this, this will allow you to change the shader on everything, or you can change the shader on individual models just by clicking right there. And if you want to go back and change everything, click on Overview and go right back. So we're going to change to, let's do Techno Fusion. I like this. This is a groovy one. This is from last season. Has a very neo-pop feel to it. Different armor is going to have different slots. As you can see, it's divided into 4 sections, and each piece of armor and each section of the armor is going to have a different number assigned to it. So this one has the number that is assigned to that pink. You've got the silvery gray up here, and that is the left one. You've got some green splashes as your highlights. That's going to be the bottom one. And then black, you've got different little accent pieces that are black. As you get additional armor, it's going to have different ones. Now, you'll notice that I have a drop on my ballyhoo that is already at 1270. The reason for that is when it averages out your armor, it's also going to check the highest light armor that you have in your vault or on your character. And it's going to give you a light level item that is at that level. Um, and that's going to just make you level up a little faster. Now, for this next part, I am going to use the app called Little Light. It is available on the iOS store or on Android, and it will let you pull items from your vault directly to your character. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my max light gear. And it's going to pull all of this over into my character. Now, I previously had a Titan. As you can see, I have been playing him for a minute. I deleted him to make this, but I kept all of the gear. So you can see that I have gotten way higher gear based off of this. And that brought me all the way up to a 1318. So it looks like it may not calculate light level based off of what's in the vault. It may only calculate what's on your character. So it looks like it's going to be a good idea when you're going through this to have the highest light gear in your inventory right here. And that will ensure that you've got the ability to hit them hard and get your higher drops. And even if you don't like it, keeping that item is a good way, excuse me, keeping that item is a good way to get better drops. Now, your power level, you see you've got the bonus on the right-hand side. You've also got a gear score, and that gear score is, again, that average for everything. Once you get up to 1275 for Season of the Lost, you've hit the world drops cap, and that means that anything that you get just from roaming around the world, either in patrol zones, items that randomly drop during strikes, it's going to drop at your current gear level or below. In order to get higher, you actually need to go and do powerful drops. Now, powerful drops are going to be from things like public events. I don't have any showing on my screen right now, but it will have specifically on it a little golden bar or a little golden circle, and that'll let you know that you're going to get either a powerful drop or you're going to get a pinnacle drop. Now, powerful drops will drop up to the seasonal soft cap, which for Season of the Lost is 1320. Pinnacle drop, and the amount of increase you get is based off of whether it is a tier 1, a tier 2, or a tier 3, which corresponds to how many points above that world drop cap you have and above your average that it's going to give you. Your pinnacle drops come in either +1s or +2s. Drops from Hawthorne, who is the clan vendor, are +1s. Zavala's are +1s. Shax and Drifter, they will also give +1s. Now, right now, they're only giving me powerful gear drops. So what I'll have to do is complete a series of quests, unless they've changed that in Beyond Light. It's been a minute since I started a new character. Apologies, guys. I am not 100%. Banshee will give just regular drops. They will often be well below what your power level is, but it's a good way to get random rolls on those weapons to see what levels of perks you get and try and aim out for the ones you really, really want to get. There are certain weapons which are called God Rolls, and those God Rolls will have a set level of perks that are considered really powerful by the community. With the legendaries, you also have an option here for infusing. This lets you take an item that's higher light and with an upgrade module will allow you to increase the light level of the weapon you've got. So if you've got a roll that you really, really like, you can use upgrade cores to keep it at your maximum light and just make sure that you've got the strongest weapon for your favorites. You don't have to dismantle the weapons that you really, really like. The second row over is your masterwork item. Each time you upgrade this by spending glimmer, legendary shards, and/or enhancement cores, it improves that stat. So as I increase the level of my deicide shotgun, I'm going to increase that reload speed. And as you can see, it's already pretty good, which means that this reloads very, very quickly. So deicide here is a solid one. I'm going to keep this one, and as I get higher light things, I'm going to throw them into it, and I'm going to raise that light all the way up as high as I can get it. Now, once you've hit that soft cap of 1320 on your gear, the only way to get above that to the 1330 seasonal power cap is to do your pentacles. Any pentacle which is given out for ritual activities like Gambit, Crucible, and your strikes, and anything given by Hawthorne is going to be at 1 point above your average power level. Anything that is given out as completion quests for higher light stuff, such as the Prophecy Dungeon here in Tower, completing raids. On Europa, there are several ones for Empire hunts, the Exo Challenge, so on and so forth, is going to give you an additional +2 above your cap. Now you want to grind out all of your powerful gear first from the highest stage you can do down to the lowest stage, because the faster you light up each piece of gear, the higher your average light, the more those will buff it, and this will get you up faster. So you want to do all of your tier 3 powerful quests first, then your tier 2s, then your tier 1s, then all of your +2 pentacles, all of your +1 pentacles. But once you've hit the soft cap, it doesn't really matter if you do the powerful gear drops, because those will drop at the 1320 soft cap. So once you've hit that soft cap, you want to focus on all of your pentacles and just getting those pentacles from the +2s to the +1s. The +2s take a lot more time to do, and so if you do your +1s, you'll rise in light a little slowly, but you're also not spending a lot of time for pentacles. And if you've only got a couple hours a week to play, that's a great way to grab some quick buffs on your gear. The armor, as I mentioned, the mod slots, armor can be infused as well, but you've got 4 different mod slots on each of your legendary and exotic armors. You also have the ability to upgrade by spending enhancement cores, legendary cars, and glimmer, prisms, and ascendant shards, which are affectionately referred to as golf balls within our clan. That will give you additional energy to equip items. You'll also have an energy affinity with your armor, Void, Arc, Solar, or Stasis. Certain mods will require certain energy types, and that will be based off of what the energy type of your armor is. So if I go into my collections here and into my mod slots, you'll see that I've got Arc mods, Solar mods, Void mods, and then these without an energy are just regular mods. You've also got stasis mods. These are new. Um, so your best bet is to determine what mods you want based off of what your play style is. If you are running a grenade heavy build, you're going to want something that buffs up your grenades. So Ashes to Assets is a great one. You're going to be throwing a lot of grenades. That's going to give you a bunch of additional super ammo. So if I wanted to run a grenade build, I might want to either look for solar armor, or if you highlight it, you can actually change it. Now, you can change to a 1 with just an upgrade module. However, if you want to keep the amount of energy, you have to respend everything that you've already put into it. So it can be a little expensive to change energy types on the fly, especially if you've already masterworked your armor, because that's going to just require a lot more of an investment, because you're pretty much doubling what you've already put in. So A good rule of thumb is on your main character, keep a couple different types of armor, especially once you've masterworked them, that have those higher stats and are at your light cap. That's going to give you some options in combat, and exotics are a great way to do this because exotics have that affinity as well. They roll with the random stats. When you get one that you really like, you can infuse it up, but you can switch out armor types. Now, you can equip one exotic weapon, one exotic piece of armor, so use that to determine which one you particularly want, but it also keeps things from becoming overpowered. With your armor, you've also got stats, but these are universal amongst all different types of armor for all classes. Weapons can have different attributes based off of what they are. So, for example, you will have a bow that will have draw time. Your fusion rifle will have charge time. Your sword will have guard stats. But armor across the board will have mobility. Now, this is the core stat for hunters. It increases movement speed and maximum jump height, but with hunters, it also controls how fast your dodge ability reloads. Resilience is the one for titans. It will reduce the amount of damage you take by increasing your shields, but it will also improve the speed of your barricade reload. Recovery is the warlock speed, is the warlock skill. This determines how fast you regain health when you get out of combat. You have to be out of combat and spend a certain amount of time not taking fire, but this will increase your heal speed, and this will get you back in the fight faster. For warlocks, this also makes their rift ability recharge faster. Discipline is how quickly your grenades cool down. It does not change how much damage your grenades do. Intellect controls how fast your super cools down. It does not change how much damage your super does. And with strength, this is your melee, this is your charged melee attack. It does not change how fast, or it does not change how strong that is. With the mod slots, the first one is going to be a general increase to one of your stats. And you've got +5 models and +10 models. The +5 only costs 1, the +10 costs 3, with the exception of recovery and intellect, which costs 2 and 5 respectively. The second are your general slots, and these are going to be based off of the type of weapon. The first and the last are universal. The second two are armor specific. With helmets, in addition to the elemental one, you've got ammo finder mods, which allow you to find ammunition for certain types of weapons much faster and much more frequently. Now, the ammo bricks that drop on these types of finds will give less ammo, and they will glow a little brighter, so you'll be able to distinguish them. You've also got your targeting mods on the helmet. Targeting mods improve target acquisition, accuracy, and aim down sights. So when you fire, you're going to have a tighter cluster. You're going to pull up and go back to hip fire mode much, much quicker. It will also increase the box that determines where your precision hits are, so that it will be easier to get those precision hits. If you're using a controller, it will also give you a little better snap to target. Now, arms have reload buffs and handling buffs, and these will make you reload faster and make you switch weapons faster. The chest piece will give you damage resistance mods. You'll have one for your element, whichever element your armor is. You'll have close range, long range, and area of effect. It will also let you carry additional ammunition, and will give you reduced flinching when you're aiming down sights on certain types of weapons. Legs will give you reload holsters, reload holsters, which when that weapon is stowed, it will slowly reload it, and will also give you the ability to get additional ammo through the scavenger mods, and this will increase how much you pick up every time you run over an ammo brick. And finally, the class mods are going to be different things based off of what your class is, but generally will include a way to improve the cooldown speed of your abilities, as well as special things that you can do when you use a finisher. So you can reload all of your weapons, you restore your melee ability, get special ammo or heavy ammo. However, please note that this takes some of your super energy. So if you have a build that requires super energy, uh, you're going to be trading off doing your super for getting these special perks to pop. If you don't have enough super, you can't even do a finisher. Now finally, you've got the combat style mods, and there are 3 combat styles currently. There are the Wells mods, there are the Charged with Light mods, and there are the Warmind mods. Now, Warmind cells require you to use either a 7th Seraph weapon or an Achelios weapon, which are world drops that you can get that are able to generate these war cells. War cells, when you shoot them, will explode for a small amount of damage, and you can stack additional ones of these to get a bit additional benefit. So global reach will increase the amount of damage that a target will take and increase the splash damage range. Blessing of Rasputin, you can collect the Warmind cell instead of shooting it, and it will increase the chance that your next blow will create a Warmind cell. Each elemental type will have different ones available to it, so you'll want to kind of mix and match your armor based off of what mods you've got and what you want to be able to do. And your Charged with Light mods are pretty powerful. You have to be able to get Charged with Light, and you can do that through some of these abilities. Now you notice that some of these have one perk that is white and one that is grayed out. If a perk is grayed out, you have to have another mod that uses the same energy type, either another combat mod on a different piece of armor or a different combat mod on the same one. So if I wanted to get this Radiant Light, which casting my super gives my allies Charged with Light, but can also give me plus 20 strength, I would have to either go onto another piece of armor that was arc and add another one of these combat styles that has the little arc energy here, such as Striking Light, which would also give me damage resistance while sprinting, or I can go over here and I can add on the same piece of armor one that has the arc energy type. So I could add Outreach and that and say Powerful Friends, and I could get both perks from that, Powerful Friends. And the third one are the Well mods. These are the newest ones, and they will create little glowing pools of light whenever you get a kill in certain circumstances. So this one requires a finisher, and it will give me 2 arc wells. This one will give me wells matching my subtype anytime I get a grenade, so on and so forth. And it's just going to depend on your play style. These will mix and match to a degree. So if I have a Wells mod and I get Elemental Charge, I'll become Charged with Light every time I pick up one of those orbs, and that will give me access to these special perks that I get while I'm charged with light. So it's a matter of figuring out what your playstyle is. Do you like the wells, and if so, finding ways that you can increase the wells. Wells will also give you bonus energy to whichever one of your ability has the lowest amount. Charged with light is generally used with high energy fire, which gives you bonus damage based off of your light. But each of these perks has certain advantages, and it just depends on how you like to play your character. So the only other thing is that when you get items, you're going to get different random stats. I would recommend waiting until you've got a high stat piece and keeping that piece of armor and masterworking it. So this one has 67 total points. It's in primarily mobility, resistance, and intellect, and those are 3 things that I really benefit from on this character. So I'll keep that, and I'm going to masterwork that When I masterwork it, each one of those stats will get an additional +2. And then when I throw on the extra from my ability mods, you can see that you can get quite a nice little boost on your overall stats. Your total stats will show up here. Now, it will only increase the actual ability every 10 pieces. So this mobility, I get a tier 6 bonus, which gives me an additional +24 to my movement speed. You can see here my resilience, I've only got 55, which means I'm a class tier 5. And this gives me a 5% bonus to my shield, and my ability cooldown is 30 seconds. If I add an additional 5 points, I'll buff that up to a tier 6, and that will give me a 28-second class cooldown time and a +6% modifier. And if I throw on the stat increase across the board on each one, I can get up to +50 points on any of these abilities, and that's going to give me a huge advantage when I am playing towards uh, getting a 100 stat in something. 100 stat is the highest that you can go after you've hit tier 10. You don't really get any advantages. Each one of these will give you certain play style. So if you have a high resilience, you're going to be more of a tank. High mobility, you're more hit and run. High resilience, you want to get into and out of combat quickly. High discipline, you're going to be throwing grenades. High intellect, you're going to be getting a lot more of your super abilities. And high strength, you're going to be throwing a lot more punches. And some of these will work really well together. So mobility, resilience, and strength will be great if you're doing a melee build. If you are doing a supers build, or if you're doing a glass cannons build, having high grenade, high intellect, and high recovery allows you to pop out, throw your abilities, and then pop back into cover. And then finally, excuse me, you have the ghost shells. Now let me pull on one of my better ghost shells so I can show you this. Ghost shells can be masterworked just like the other items. You'll spend enhancement cores and glimmer and legendary shards to upgrade them, but they will offer 4 mod slots. Rare ghost shells only have 3. Your first one is going to give you a buff to the experience points that you get. Your second one is going to give you the ability to find things a little better. So it will highlight either treasure caches, planetary resources, which are used to buy upgrade modules and exotics, and it will have the wombo detectors and the combo detectors, which will let you find both. The second one down is going to give you an option to increase how much glimmer you get, and especially when you're out of glimmer, throwing on a high one is a great way to stock back up. You can also do the new armorer mods, which will guarantee at least a 10 in a certain stat. So if you're looking for your armor and you want to get a resilience build, you throw on the resilience armor, it's going to make sure that every piece of armor you pick up in the world has at least a 10 and is more likely to roll with higher resilience. If you're getting an exotic armor randomly from Xur, it's a good idea to put one of these on to get the type of buff that you want. Just because exotic armors tend to be very expensive to masterwork, you want to get a good roll before you invest much into it. And then you've got the harvest mods, which will increase how many resources you get when you get a planetary resource. It will improve the loot from public events. And then you've got the ability to generate telemetry data. I'm not a fan of telemetry data. I don't find a lot of use in it because it is the same as a weaponsmith item, which you will get just by dismantling items. You're going to get a lot more items than you're going to get telemetry, so it doesn't really give you much benefit to harvest more. Banshee's drops are okay, but it's not something that you're necessarily going to want to spend a lot of time and effort in. And then finally, you have these harvest mods. These will give you special perks for completing activities. So you will get on this one, Precision Final Blows and Crucible will give you an enhancement core. You can get enhancement prisms, you can get better armor drops, you can get better item drops, so on and so forth. You will have to unlock these mods. Ada will sell some of them. Banshee will sell some of them. Others you'll get through lucky dismantles. Sometimes you'll pick them up through either public event chests or chests that you find in the wild. And sometimes you get them just through lucky dismantles of weapons and armor. So that is a little quick rundown on your gear and the new light experience. I will be making more of these. Next time I'm going to be going into our enemy types and what kind of bad guys you can expect to face. But that should be enough for now. So thank you for watching, good hunting, and eyes up, Guardian.